Hi everybody, this is Kevin from Hideaway Homestead. We're going to be talking today about how to build a greenhouse. When we first started this project, we had to clear all this land off right here. It was growing up in big high grass and we had to mow it down, and then I had to take a tiller in here and till the ground up. And now we've got this started. So we're going to show you what we did and how we built this, and hopefully it'll be something that you're interested in too. So this is going to be part one of a 2-video series that we're going to do on this greenhouse build. This is the process that we're having to go through to smooth out the land out here before we put the ground cloth down and wherever the greenhouse is going to go. If you don't have a tractor or some kind of equipment to use, this is the next best thing. This is how they used to do it probably in the old days. Just get a piece of wood and start smoothing the dirt out. We're trying to get this as smooth as we possibly can before we put the ground cover down, because this will be inside the greenhouse. And then this area right over here, closer to this fence, will actually be a walkway between the fence and the side of the greenhouse. We've decided to make these runs 20 feet long. We learned how to do this from watching Living Traditions Homestead, because they do this. Whenever we cut this ground cloth, if we don't use a torch, it ravels on the ends and comes apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to burn this to make the cut, and that way it seals the edges. You can also refer back to one of our earlier videos from when we built the west garden, and we showed the same thing with us putting ground cover down over there also. And you can see it there if you want to. So let's get this thing cut. You have to make sure you don't touch this stuff while it's hot, because it will burn you. It sticks to you and it hurts. Okay, so we can move this over to where it's going, tack it down with our staples, and we'll have the next row in place. Okay, so far this is what we have done. We've got the ground cover down. This side over here that's next to the fence, some of that, about 2 or 3 feet of that from the fence out, will be walkway for us to be able to walk through there. And then 2 or 3 feet over from there is where we will start the side of the greenhouse. Okay, so now we've got the ground cover down, and we are ready to start putting up the greenhouse and getting it put together. So far, this is what we have done with putting up the structure for the greenhouse. What we've done is we've reused the PVC that we used before on our garden beds, and here's one of them here. So what we've done is we've taken them apart to make them a little bit wider, so that they're wide enough to go across on the size of this one here, so we can just reuse them. That's another reason why we didn't glue the PVC fittings that are on these, because they can be taken apart and moved and used for other purposes. If you want to refer back to our earlier video where we showed how we built those beds, you can check that out, and you'll see how we started out with our beds that we used for growing the vegetables. This centerpiece that you see right here on the ground with the T's in the middle, or the crosses in the middle here, this is actually the centerpiece that we used on the beds when we put them together. So what we're going to do is we're going to use them again in the middle, and these two longer pieces, there's some here and these on this side, they will come up and curve over and meet in the center, and then they will attach to these crosses in the middle on those fittings. Well, we got it up, pretty much. It's not finished, but you can see the shape of it and how big it is. And we still got to put some more pieces on here, but this is pretty much what it'll look like. We got the pipe running from either side like we talked about a minute ago. Comes up here and it connects right here to these crosses. I don't know if you can see that or not. The sky's so bright out here today. And this runs right down the center. And then we have to put the two ends on. Both ends are not on here yet. We have to build a door to go on here. And so we're going to have to build the door, and then it will go right down here on this end and then at the other end. And it will actually have some 2x4s on it that will help it be stable. We are beginning the construction of the doorway for our greenhouse. What we've done is laid it out on the ground, and we're putting these boards for the doorway. It'll have a 3-foot opening right here, and then this will be the top. So what we did was we laid this out and then marked it. I don't know if you can see the marks or not, but anyway, we marked it on the boards on the sides so that we know where the door frame will go. And then we're going to put them together with these L brackets right here we have. So we'll continue working on this and see how it turns out. We got one side of this cut at an angle, as you can see right here, so that the top of that hoop will set right on top of that. And here's the other side that we haven't cut yet. So once we cut this, then that will rest right on top of that. And that's what we wanted. We have the L brackets put on. You can see them. Got them on the bottom. We're getting ready to cut the wood for the other door on the other end of the greenhouse. Pretty much what the idea is that we've got an 8-foot piece of wood here, a piece of 2x4 treated, pressure treated 2x4, because it's going to be outside and close to the ground, so we want it to be pressure treated so it'll last longer. We'll have two 3.5-foot pieces for either side of the door. That's going to enable us to be able to span the 10-foot width that the greenhouse is. So right now that's what we're about to do, is to cut this wood and end up with two 3.5-foot pieces. We got our door put together, sort of. It's not actually attached, but we've got it all laid out to where it's going to be. So all we have to do is come back and attach all of this. So we've got our frame, and this is the door. And then what Carol's doing right now is she's getting ready to mark this out for where the hinges are going to go for the door. We're going to put two hinges on one side, on that side, and we will have actually two doors on this greenhouse. There will be one at each end, and that makes it accessible from either end. So whenever you do this, if you're doing one of these, you have to decide which way you want your door to swing. Obviously you want it to swing to the outside, but as far as the left or right is concerned, it is up to you for when you put this together. We got our doors built for the greenhouse. Now what I'm doing is I'm putting these L brackets on this center piece in the door just to stabilize it and give it some support. So we're just going to put 4 screws in each of these L brackets. And then we will be ready to get it in place. And put the visqueen on it. There. We got the hinges for the door also. We took a pack of these and opened them up and laid it out on here and marked it with a pencil. You don't have to do it that way, but we did it just to kind of get an idea about where the hinges were going to go on the door. So now all we have to do is open these and put them on here. And we'll be ready to go with that. So this one will go about right here. Have to adjust it a little bit because it looks like the wood has moved since we laid this out. There we go. Here, we'll put that in here and we'll have our hinges on. We got most of the door finished. What we're doing now is we're putting these brace pieces on here. It just helps to stabilize the frame of the door a little bit. So I'm just going to put some screws in here. I've already got one here, and I'm going to put one at the top. Also, whenever the door closes, the door will hit against this and keeps the door from pushing in too far when we close it. So it's serving two purposes, really. On this side, we'll have it. Alright. We got our door laid out now, and you can see here we have the visqueen on the ground. We put that down first, and then we put our PVC hoop. It's going to go across the top in there to sort of line it up. So at this point, what we need to do then is wrap this visqueen around the wood and start stapling it to the wood, and then we'll have to obviously cut out what we don't need. We got the door all laid out, and now what we're doing is we're stapling the visqueen to the wood, and that's what Carol's doing there, trying to get it all in place and make sure that it's tight. What we're doing is we're stapling it along those brace pieces on the sides and then across the top. Once we get this in place and get it all stapled down, then we'll go back and cut off the excess visqueen that you see here. Right now there's a lot more than we need. But we're just going to have to cut some of it off.
You can always take some off.
That's right. That's an old saying with us. You can always take more off, but you can't put it back on. Well, we got it up. Now what we're doing is we're attempting to staple the visqueen to the door, and then once we get that stapled, we'll come back with a knife and cut this out so that just the door is closed in with the visqueen. So now I'm going to see if I can get this to staple, and it does. We put T-posts on here on both sides of the frame of the door so that it gives it some support. We're going to probably go on the inside and put some little zip ties around the post, the door frame itself, and these T-posts on the inside. That's to keep it stable. Keep it from swaying when the wind blows and all that. So hopefully that will work. We're going to try it and see what happens. This is our first time doing this, and so we're not real sure how this is going to work, but it seems, so far, it seems to be working pretty good. We got it built. I showed you a few minutes ago. These hoops right here, we call them, and they were laying on the ground a couple minutes ago. Now we've got them all up and attached at the top up there where those T's are, crosses I guess they actually are. And so now they form the ribs of this greenhouse. And we got the door in place in the front. So now we have to build the other door for the other end, and it's right there on the ground, and that will be the next thing we do. We got the greenhouse finished. The only thing we have left to do is to build the tables on the inside. We're going to be doing that, and hopefully you'll see that in part 2. We're going to be doing 2 videos on this so that you can see the whole scope of what we did start to finish on how to build this. But for now, that concludes what we've done for this one, and thanks for joining us. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Give us a thumbs up, leave us comments. Tell your friends and family about us so that it would really help our channel so we can get more people watching. So until next time, thanks for joining us here on Hideaway Homestead.